recently working with the mayor's office as a summer intern with Richard Griffin and Josh Russin. This is Richard, the director of the Economic Development Department, and we're going to have a conversation about his department.
Thanks for having me, Deepti.
Thank you for being here with me. So, Richard, let's start with the basics. So, what does this department do exactly, and what do you do as the director?
We focus on trying to create an opportunity or a playing field in Frederick where businesses have an opportunity to grow, create jobs, and where people have an opportunity to invest and create new businesses.
So, what kind of tools does the department use to fulfill their responsibilities?
Just like when you're working on your car, you use different tools for different things. In economic development, we use different tools for different functions. We rely heavily on our website and on social media to get information out about what the opportunities here are, whether that's land opportunities or whether that's new incentives and tax credits, or things that the businesses are doing that lends an opportunity for more to occur in the community. But we also focus on other things. We attend trade shows. We work and have business incentives. We have a high-tech business incubator. All of these are strategies and all of these are tools that we use during the course of the year to create that playing field and to create opportunity for people to invest, to start businesses, and for where people can work.
Okay, so how do you think Frederick is doing in this economy as of now?
Well, Frederick, historically, through the 2000s, has tracked much better than all of its peers. And so even through the recession and today, our unemployment is below the state levels and below the national unemployment levels. So that's a good thing. And we've had very positive job growth in certain areas, particularly at Fort Detrick and among the National Cancer Institute. But we've had some good private sector investment as well. We've had strong investment from MedImmune, building a brand new large pharmaceutical manufacturing plant here in Frederick, and the expansion of major office facilities like Wells Fargo Home Mortgage.
So the expansion, you said you use incubators, and what is the difference between FITCI, the incubator, and the Department of Economic Development?
Well, that's a great question. So my department, my staff, we focus more on the setting the playing field up and in terms of helping businesses through the processes of doing business in the city. FITCI, as a high-tech business incubator, is all about helping businesses with the functions of business. So it might help them if you have a scientist, for instance, that's creating a new biotech company. They may be very good at the science, but they're not particularly good, for instance, maybe at the marketing or the business side of it or the financial models. So the incubator surrounds them with technology specialists in those areas, people that can provide service to them and advise them in those other areas, so that at the end of an incubated period, let's say 2 or 3 years, that company is at a much healthier and better place to be able to go off on its own and succeed, rather than so many businesses which never make it.
The mayor gave his State of the City address, and he mentioned recent annexations of the city of Frederick. Do you have any ideas what he's going to do, or what the city of Frederick will do with these annexations?
Well, the annexations are part of a broad strategy by the city to make sure that it's well positioned for the future in terms of providing housing and jobs and parks and schools and all the things that come along with it. We have a number of different opportunities for development. You have infill development opportunities where people build on lots that maybe have never been built on before. We have revitalization, where people are taking old lots and older buildings and rehabilitating them and doing adaptive reuse. And then you have greenfield development, which is people building on new land that's been annexed to the city or has never been built on. And you need all three of those. It's like a three-legged stool in order to be a healthy community for decades to come. We're going to keep focusing on getting people in and doing that revitalization and adaptive reuse, but we're also going to provide for opportunities like Riverside Research Park, which has come in on land that was annexed to the city, and they've built the National Cancer I'm sorry, they've changed their name. The new Frederick National Laboratories for Cancer Research just built their advanced technology research facility there. And were it not for that large tract of annexed land, that facility would not be here. It wouldn't be in Frederick, because we don't have an opportunity to do that in some of the other smaller areas. So these annexations that the mayor was referring to are new annexations that are the timing of the development is going to be down the road, 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, but are going to provide the same opportunities in the future for the community to deliver housing. It may be in a mixed-use format where you have opportunity for people to live and work in the same neighborhood or in the same community.
So the mayor also mentioned the second phase of the Carroll Creek Park project. And why did the Board of Aldermen and the mayor decide to move on with this project? And is it just more than like a capital project?
Well, there are a number of reasons. I think going back to your earlier question about the annexations, one of the strategies, in addition to building out, is focusing in. And how do you reinvest dollars, and how do you get people to build buildings and occupy those buildings with housing and office in the core, in the downtown? And so Carroll Creek Park is a catalyst project. And I think the reason they support it is because they see the economic return opportunities. There are more than $100 million worth of buildings planned along Carroll Creek Park in downtown. And those buildings are going to deliver somewhere in the neighborhood of around 1,400 or 1,500 new jobs, and several hundred new residential opportunities for people to live and work in downtown. So Carroll Creek Park ends up being both a transportation resource. It gives people a way to move back and forth across the city. It connects downtown in a way that roads don't. So it gives bikers and walkers and runners an opportunity to move through downtown in a different format through a park. It connects to our multimodal transit center, and it provides this opportunity for economic return.
Okay, so there has been recent implementation of this policy called smart growth. So does Frederick have any specific policies they use
Well,
for this?
Frederick has been used as an example, I think, to other communities of smart growth. For more than 30 years, the city has been routinely investing in its downtown and in its core and its infill areas. And now we're doing the same thing in other parts of the city, on the Golden Mile, and we have plans for reinvestment and revitalization out on the east side of downtown, the East Frederick Rising area. But, you know, I think that when you look at the downtown and the downtown core and smart growth, the two are synonymous, that they, people want to live and work and have fun in close proximity to where they're not having to drive long distance, to where they're able to have more time with their families and doing things that they enjoy doing.
So Carroll Creek, the project, how far is the government so far in this project?
Well, in 2006, we finished about a half mile of the project through the center of downtown, and that project was initiated during the Doherty administration, and it was about a $10 million investment by the city, but we got about $35 million worth of new buildings built alongside of the park through that area. Now we're contemplating building another half-mile section of the park, and the plans have been fully designed now for that. So we're in the process of getting ready to go out to bid. That's a process by which we go out and find a contractor to build the park. And once that project is awarded, we expect that it'll take about a year or maybe 18 months for them to actually build the park project. But as I mentioned earlier, it'll be a catalyst, because the buildings that are planned down in that area along the east side from the Delaplane Center east across East Street and over on past McCutcheon's and over to East Patrick Street to where Morningstar is, Morningstar Foods, that area is, those buildings are not going to be constructed unless there's a park there. So us building the park is kind of the beginning to try to take away the chicken and the egg issue. We're going to build that park, and then those buildings are going to be able to follow in and get tenants and be constructed.
Okay, so with more businesses opening, you'll obviously have more jobs, more residents on the road. So how will the government cope with such increases in traffic, you would say?
Well, the city has a really top-notch planning department, and that planning department manages a process they call a comprehensive plan. And that comprehensive plan calls for uh, investment over a period of time in infrastructure, whether that's water, sewer, roads, all to make sure that, one, we're keeping our current systems up to date and maintained and expanding them for the new residents and the new jobs of the future. The mayor and board have the responsibility of taking that plan and converting it into a capital project, capital budget. And each year they look at what the top projects are, and they take funding and they put it in, both funding from taxpayers, and also they go out and to the bond market and they borrow money to build these projects, and then they pay the debt service with tax dollars that are generated through the community. So it's a kind of a unique process by which we look at what the needs are, we look at what the dollars available are, and decisions are made by the mayor and board as to which ones go first. And there are projects moving forward. Monocacy Boulevard center section is a big one that the city's nearly completed and constructed nearly on its own. But we have other projects planned that will involve state and federal funding as well.
Well, thank you, Richard, for being here, being part of this conversation.
Thank you, and thank you for your service to the city and the mayor's office.
Thank you.